Julian's black pen tapped lightly against Leo's textbook. "Heard you're looking for a roommate." Leo looked up from the library table, surprised. He and Julian shared a major, but this was the first time the program's quiet, top-ranking student had ever spoken to him. He admitted he'd been looking for almost a year. "What about me?" Julian asked, retracting the pen with a soft click and meeting his gaze. The offer was unexpected. Leo explained that he was a gaming streamer and his late-night broadcasts could be disruptive. Julian's expression remained placid as he countered that he also kept late hours and wasn't a light sleeper. And so it was settled. Leo agreed to show him the apartment after their last class. The off-campus apartment was nothing special, worn hardwood floors and 2 decent-sized bedrooms. The moment they stepped inside, Julian declared it was perfect. Leo watched him, a slight frown creasing his brow. Julian's face was serious, devoid of any hint that he might be joking. He then held out his phone, Venmo already open, and stated he would move his things in that afternoon. It was strange, but finding a roommate who was quiet and didn't mind the noise was a rare victory, so Leo didn't question it. He opened his own app and stated the rent share was $800. For a fleeting moment, as Julian glanced at the screen, his lips tightened. Leo wondered if it was over budget, but the notification of a completed payment buzzed against his palm before he could offer a discount. Julian gave a curt nod, said he was leaving, and turned to go. Leo called after him, asking if he was sure he didn't want to look around more, but Julian simply walked away without a backward glance. To foster goodwill with his new, refreshingly decisive roommate, Leo volunteered to help him move. The July heat was oppressive. The moment they got the last box inside, Leo dropped it and peeled off his sweat-soaked t-shirt, swapping his jeans for a pair of gym shorts. When he turned, he saw Julian standing frozen in the doorway, his gaze flickering oddly for a moment before he stepped inside. It occurred to Leo then that maybe Julian had moved out of his last place to escape a roommate who was too comfortable with casual nudity. He quickly retreated to his room to shower and change. By the time he emerged, Julian had already made his bed and put away his clothes. The sound of the shower running indicated he was busy, so Leo returned to his own room. He tried recording a few gameplay sessions for his channel but couldn't get a single usable clip. Frustrated, he set his phone down and saw Julian standing in his doorway. His white shirt was unbuttoned, revealing a lean, muscular chest that was surprisingly well-defined. Leo grinned, remarking that he'd initially worried Julian might be bothered by things like that. Julian stared back, his expression as impassive as ever, and asked what he meant. Leo gestured to his own bare chest, explaining that he thought Julian had seemed uncomfortable when he'd taken his shirt off earlier. Julian's denial was flat and direct, his eyes fixed on him. He then asked if Leo was hungry. Dinner with a new roommate called for a couple of beers. What Leo had envisioned as pizza and cheap beer turned into something else entirely. Julian cooked a surprisingly perfect shrimp scampi. He was a man of few words, and the silence stretched awkwardly between them as they ate. Leo found himself feeling a bit on edge, but reminded himself that Julian was a good guy who didn't mind his noise and even cooked for him. A buzz from the front door signaled the arrival of the beer delivery. Leo watched, amused, as Julian methodically buttoned his shirt before answering the door, then immediately began unbuttoning it again upon returning with the six-pack. He figured Julian was just being considerate, in case the delivery person was a woman. He handed him a few bottles, raising his own in a toast, and said he was glad they were roommates. Julian just gave a slight nod in return. His coolness was almost an art form. After they finished eating, Leo washed the dishes while Julian retreated to his room. It was almost 9, time to start his stream. His most loyal fan, a user named Frost, was the first to join the broadcast. Her messages filled the chat, welcoming him back. His screen name was Frostbite, a moniker his friends had given him, claiming it sounded like a brooding hero. He thanked Frost for her virtual gifts and launched into a match. Julian, true to his word, was completely silent. The apartment's soundproofing was terrible. Leo had lost count of the roommates who had left because of his late-night shouting. Yet Julian didn't send a single text of complaint. The next morning, his class started at 10:20. Leo woke up at 10. After a frantic 10-minute scramble to get ready, he burst out of his room to find Julian waiting in the living room, backpack slung over one shoulder, holding a small paper bag. Julian informed him that breakfast was inside. Leo could have wept with gratitude. He ate on the way to campus. By the time they arrived, the only seats left were in the front row, directly under the professor's nose. Throughout the data structures lecture, whenever Leo's exhaustion got the better of him and the professor called his name, Julian would stand up and deftly steer the question into a complex discussion, saving him every time. After class, as students swarmed toward the dining hall, Leo stopped him, insisting he buy him lunch as thanks. Julian agreed. As Leo listed off options, burgers, pizza, sushi, Julian suddenly cut him off, saying he didn't want any of that. His gaze was intense, and Leo saw his throat work as he swallowed. Seeing his friend looking so famished, Leo clapped him on the shoulder and told him to lead the way. They lived together for a month, and it was bliss. Julian never once complained about the noise. One night, while Leo was streaming, deep into a risky maneuver in-game, the apartment plunged into darkness. Power outage. After his character inevitably died, he posted a quick update for his viewers, explaining the situation. It was only 10:30, too early for Julian to be asleep. Concerned by the absolute silence from the next room, Leo used his phone's flashlight to go check on him. The door was slightly ajar, and as he approached, he heard a low, pained sound from within. His first thought was that his stoic roommate was secretly occupied. But then logic kicked in. Julian was too meticulous to leave his door open for something like that. He was probably sick. Worry overriding propriety, Leo pushed the door open and aimed his light toward the bed. "Julian, you okay?" The figure under the covers stiffened, then slowly looked up. The cool, collected top student was gone. In his place was a man with flushed cheeks, eyes clouded with a feverish desire, and the corners of his eyes were tinged with red. It was a stark contrast to his usual unflappable demeanor. And in his hand, he was holding Leo's student ID photo. Leo froze, his mouth hanging open. Julian, lying on his side, murmured something unintelligible, his lips parting slightly. "Looks like I've been caught," he whispered, a strange, knowing smile playing on his lips. The look was so unlike him that Leo stumbled back a step. Seeing his reaction, Julian seemed to snap out of it, his usual frosty mask slipping back into place, though the flush still lingered on his skin. He asked what Leo wanted in the middle of the night. Leo was still reeling. He couldn't believe Julian could so casually be doing that with his ID photo, and then act as if Leo were the one at fault. An indignant heat rose in his chest. He treated this guy like a brother, and Julian was thinking about him. He strode forward and pushed Julian's shoulder, trying to see what he was hiding. The photo was there, but it was lying on a stack of official-looking documents next to a sheet of photos of their entire class. Confused, Leo found himself asking why a class officer like him was responsible for pasting everyone's ID photos onto forms. Julian's voice was laced with weary frustration as he said that he wished he knew. Leo pointed out that the power was out, so how could he even see? It didn't add up. Julian claimed he was just about to get up. The explanation felt thin. Even if he was working, there was no reason to be doing it in bed, and it didn't explain the noises or the strange comment he'd made. Julian offered a clipped, multi-part defense. Fever, dizziness, couldn't sleep, and he was just messing with him. Leo didn't buy it, but he noticed the red on Julian's cheeks did look like a fever flush. Julian shifted, tilting his head toward him, silently inviting him to check his temperature. Skeptical, Leo reached out and pressed his hand to Julian's forehead. It was scorching. He snatched his hand back as if burned. At that, Julian let out another low groan of discomfort. Leo felt a pang of guilt. Here was his roommate, sick with a fever, working on class business late at night, and he'd accused him of something sordid. Julian, sensing the shift, asked what he had been thinking. Then, just as he turned on his own phone's flashlight to resume his task, the lights in the room flickered back on. The power was restored. Julian quickly said he'd already taken medicine, that he'd just measured his temperature, and that the fever had just started. Leo, now fully in caretaker mode, insisted on checking again, but Julian refused, rattling off assurances so quickly they tumbled over each other. It was strange, but Leo chalked it up to the fever. Then Julian added something else. His air conditioner was broken, blowing hot air, and he felt too weak to get up from the heat. Leo climbed onto the bed to check. The vent was indeed blowing warm air. As he turned to get down, his foot caught on a tangled sheet, and he fell, landing right beside Julian's face. Julian turned his head slightly, and his warm lips brushed against Leo's cheek. "Leo," he breathed. Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. He pushed himself up, trying to act casual, suggesting they call a maintenance person tomorrow. Julian simply hummed in agreement. The proximity was unsettling, but Julian seemed perfectly calm. It must have been his imagination. Leo then offered his room for the night, since his AC was working. Before he could finish the sentence, Julian was sitting up, swaying slightly as he got to his feet. "I don't mind at all," he said, already heading for the door. Leo raised an eyebrow. Just a minute ago, he'd been too weak to move. In Leo's room, he stripped off his shirt out of habit before remembering he had a guest. He gestured to his collarbone, asking if Julian minded. Julian, watching him, just shook his head. As Leo reached for the lamp, he heard a rustle of fabric behind him. Julian had shed his own pajama top and tossed it aside. "It's hot," he stated simply. Leo switched off the light and settled into bed. A few minutes later, he felt a searing heat press against his back. He shot up. "What are you doing?" Julian's voice was drowsy. "My head, it's hot. Your back is cool." He added, with a hint of apology, "We're both guys. I didn't think you'd mind." Leo was speechless. It was a ridiculous excuse, but with Julian being sick, he didn't have the heart to argue. He lay back down and let the human furnace cling to him. That night, he had the dream again. He was in a desert, dying of thirst, when a warm spring miraculously appeared and flooded his mouth. It was too hot, scalding even, but he was too desperate to care. He drank and drank, the spring never running dry. He awoke to find himself sprawled on top of Julian, who was staring at him with an unreadable expression. Leo laughed awkwardly, explaining that he was a restless sleeper as he scrambled off him. A few days later was the intramural basketball championship. Julian, the team center, was a force on the court. His every move, a rebound, a three-pointer, a casual wipe of sweat from his brow, drew screams from the crowd, especially from a girl named Chloe standing next to Leo. She was ecstatic, shouting Julian's name and grabbing Leo's arm to ask if he wasn't just the coolest guy ever. Leo offered a tight-lipped agreement. On the court, Julian sank a perfect three-pointer over 3 defenders. Leo found himself yelling with the rest of the crowd. Julian's head turned, his eyes found Leo's, and a slow smile spread across his face. Chloe went wild, shaking Leo's arm. He looked over here. Julian looked right at us. Suddenly, a shout of cut through the noise. A stray basketball was hurtling directly towards them. On instinct, Leo shoved Chloe out of the way and threw up his arm to block it. The impact was brutal. Pain exploded from his forearm. Julian was by his side in an instant, his voice tight with worry, asking if he was okay. Turned out he was not. His right arm was fractured. For the next few weeks, Julian became his personal caretaker, patiently feeding him every meal. One day, as Julian held a spoonful of soup, Leo thanked him, calling him the best nursemaid a guy could ask for. Julian's hand paused. He said nothing but continued feeding him. One afternoon, while waiting for Julian in the campus dining hall, a girl approached Leo and asked for his number. Behind her, he could see Julian approaching with their food. Leo politely declined. The girl and her friend scurried away. Julian set the tray down, his face a cold mask. Leo cheerfully thanked him, but Julian just started eating his own meal in silence. When he finished, he sat back, watching Leo, making no move to help. Leo nudged him with his good arm, gesturing to the food. Julian met his gaze, his expression unyielding, asking what was wrong. When Leo finally pleaded for help, Julian's voice was dangerously soft. "How can I help you?" "With your hands," Leo said, exasperated. "Fine," Julian finally relented, picking up the fork. "Open up. Let me feed you." The way he said it sent a strange shiver down Leo's spine, but his expression was so serious that Leo dismissed it as another one of his own weird thoughts. That night, he had the desert dream again. His arm finally healed. One day in class, he noticed Chloe was at it again, snapping picture after picture of Julian, the flash firing relentlessly. It was brazen. Leo felt a surge of irrational anger. He nudged Julian, pointing out that Chloe was taking photos of him. Julian glanced over and simply nodded, unconcerned. The indifference grated on Leo. It wasn't his business, but it felt like it was. That night, feeling inexplicably irritable, he had a terrible stream. He got into a heated argument with a teammate, yelling into his mic until he remembered he was live. His fans were shocked. He'd never lost his cool like that before. Hartoff Frost sent a massive donation with a simple message: "If you're not feeling well, you should rest." He ended the stream. Private message came through from her. She asked if someone had hurt his feelings. On impulse, he sent a voice message back, his words tumbling out. He confessed that there was someone he cared about, someone who kept kissing him in his sleep, but he had no idea if the person actually liked him. Hartoff Frost replied instantly, her text surprisingly sharp. "Of course he likes you. Why else would he kiss you? Is he crazy?" Leo was momentarily thrown by her use of he, but continued, explaining that this person let another girl take his picture and didn't seem to mind. Her response was immediate. "He's an idiot. Don't worry about it. Idiots are slow. He'll figure it out." The conversation did little to soothe him. That night, he lay in bed, pretending to be asleep. The familiar weight settled beside him. He waited. The dream began, but this time, he was wide awake. The warm spring met his lips. He opened his eyes, pushed against Julian's chest, and told him to get off. Julian didn't move. Instead, he pressed closer, his voice a low whisper in Leo's ear. Why? He pinned Leo's arms, his tone shifting from soft to sharp. Don't pretend you weren't awake all those other times. It was the first time Leo had ever heard him sound so aggressive. He knew he was in trouble. He stayed silent. Julian continued, I already told her to stop taking pictures. Whatever, Leo muttered, turning his head away. Julian shifted beside him, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. How about you punish me? The world screeched to a halt. The next morning, Leo woke up tangled in sheets and limbs, every muscle aching. He pried Julian's hand off his waist. Julian mumbled that he was just hungry and wanted to make breakfast. Leo didn't believe him for a second. He begged him not to move, then scrambled out of bed and dressed in the living room. Later that day, a text came in from an unknown number. How's it going? It was his client. Leo glanced at Julian, who was sitting across the room, and typed back, almost done. When do I get the rest? The reply was curt. Almost? For that, you want the rest? He tried to reply, but he'd been blocked. Another text arrived from a different number. Boss, it's me, the girl who asked for your number at the dining hall. I saw the hickey on your neck today in class. Mission accomplished. Time to pay up. Leo groaned and transferred the $600 they'd agreed upon. Then another, hey, it's the photographer. You got your man. That'll be $800. And another, yo, basketball guy here. My aim was perfect, right? $300. Leo paid them all, his savings account dwindling, then sent a group message. Delete my number. We never met. The client was Julian's stepmother. She had found him somehow, offering him $5 million to seduce her stepson. At first, he'd thought it was a prank. But then she'd shown up in a Blacktown car and handed him a CR card. He was a broke streamer. It was an offer he couldn't refuse. It was a win-win. He got paid, and he got to be close to the guy he'd been crushing on since freshman year. And in the end, Julian would get $5 million from his stepmother's trust. He was practically doing him a favor. What are you thinking about so hard? Julian's chin rested on his shoulder as he watched Leo play his mobile game. Stop feeding the enemy ADC. Shut up, Leo grumbled, elbowing him gently. He knew he had to tell Julian the truth. He decided he would do it on Christmas Eve. He even bought a pair of matching silver ankle bracelets. Julian had stunningly pale, elegant ankles. They would look perfect on him. But that evening, as he waited for Julian outside the main academic building, planning a romantic surprise, he saw him walk out with another girl. It was the friend of the girl he'd paid to ask for his number. His stomach sank. As they approached, the girl was speaking animatedly. He hired all of us, Julian. The girl who asked for his number, the guy with the basketball, it was all a setup to make you jealous. If you don't believe me, ask him yourself. So much for keeping a secret. Julian cut her off, his voice flat with impatience. You just said he did all that to make me jealous. Why do you think I would get jealous? He didn't wait for an answer. Because I like him. He grabbed Leo's wrist and pulled him away, leaving the girl standing there, dumbfounded. They walked back to the apartment in silence. The moment the door closed behind them, Julian pinned him against it. Care to explain? He asked, a smile playing on his lips. Seeing he wasn't angry, Leo relaxed and told him everything, about his stepmother, the money, the hired actors. As he spoke, Julian's smile faded, replaced by a thunderous expression. So, he said, his voice dangerously low, the only reason you didn't reject me was because she paid you? Leo had never heard him sound so cold. He quickly shook his head. insisting that he was only telling him because his feelings were real. But Julian turned away and stalked into his room, slamming the door. Leo stood there, heartbroken. An hour later, he took a bottle of red wine and knocked on Julian's door. Julian let him in without a word. He sat on the bed while Leo perched on a chair. Leo offered him the first drink straight from the bottle. Julian watched him for a long moment before taking it and tilting his head back. A trickle of red wine escaped the corner of his mouth, tracing a line down his chin to his throat. Suddenly, Julian's head dropped, and his voice, thick with emotion, broke the silence. "Leo, what was going through your head?" Leo panicked. He rushed to his side, patting his back awkwardly, assuring him that he genuinely liked him. That was all there was to it. "But what you did was wrong, wasn't it?" Julian asked, his voice cracking. He looked so vulnerable, like a wounded animal. Leo immediately agreed, admitting he was completely in the wrong. He explained he'd only done it because it was the only way he could think of to get close to him. "So how do we fix this?" Julian asked. Leo, seeing an opening, tentatively suggested they forget it happened and just be together. "No," Julian said flatly. "I'll give you the money. All of it." "No." "Then what do you want?" Julian reached out and pulled him into his arms. "I want 3 chances," he whispered, his voice dark and husky. "To choose the place." Took a moment for the meaning to sink in. When it did, Leo's face burned. "No way." 2. "Nope." 1. "Fine," Leo grumbled, hiding his face in Julian's shoulder. 1. The things he did for this guy. This whole mess was finally over. He felt a wetness on his neck and pulled back. "Are you pouring wine on me? What a waste." Julian smirked, leaning in close. "It's not wasted if I clean it up."